guys, how's it going? It's always me, Francesco, and again we are in the tasting room of Fattoria di Montemaggio, and today we are going to discuss about a very specific topic. I wanted to talk about it since a very long time because I think it's very important. It's pretty important to speak about the Sangiovese, the history of Sangiovese, not only Sangiovese, because we are here always like tasting Sangiovese, many of course different expression. We are tasting of course the Chianti Classico, maybe from Chianti, we tasted Chianti Classico from grape, we tasted Sangiovese Rosé, we tasted many different ideas of course of Sangiovese, but we never spoke really about the history of Sangiovese. So I thought it was interesting for all of you and also for me to try to learn a little bit more about this variety, and to try of course to go a little bit further in my knowledge about the history of Sangiovese. So let's try to of course analyze a little bit every aspect of the history of the story of Sangiovese grape. And of course before we start to talk about today's topic, I would like to remind to everybody that if you want, you can subscribe. Actually, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course you can find us on every social media, so you can also try to have some kind of interaction with us, to write a question or to write to us comments and suggestions. And also, if you're interested in our wine, you find the link in the description below. You find our e-shop. We have an e-shop on www.montemaggio.com. And of course, for people that are living currently in UK, you have of course the opportunity to have a separated website, which is only for UK customer, and there you can find all of our products. So of course, now let's try to discover together the story of Sangiovese. Let's dive. Let's try to understand a little bit more about the Sangiovese history. So Sangiovese is probably the king of the red wines in the central part of Italy. And this is not something that only the wine lover think about this, of course, this kind of grape variety and this kind of wines. But in general, all the people of the central part of Italy, we are very attached to this grape. For us, it's probably the grape that gives to us the best wine, and probably one of the best expressions of winemaking. So it's always been very important for us, and it's part of our culture, you know. So recent studies try to demonstrate that the place of origin of Sangiovese, it's in the Apennine between Tuscany and Romagna. And actually, even nowadays, you can find a lot of vineyards of Sangiovese. And of course in that specific area, and of course we think that was the place where the wild Sangiovese was originated. So of course during the course of the centuries, people started to cultivate Sangiovese a little bit everywhere. That's the reason why I mean, we says it's the king of the central part of Italy grapes, and that's the reason why you find so many different expression. As we, of course, as we mentioned already, we have the Chianti Classico, we have the Brunello di Montalcino, and we have so many diversity when it comes about Sangiovese. Anyway, the origin and the provenience of the Sangiovese is very difficult to identify, and the information they are very fragmentary and actually not very reliable. So we can say that again, probably it's again somewhere in that specific area in the Apennine, but we will never be able to be exactly sure where you can find the place of origin. What's the place of origin of the Sangiovese? So the first testimony, the first one of the first document that we can say is talking about Sangiovese. It was written by a certain Soderini, which was an agronomist of the 16th century, in 1590, and in basically this document, in this treatise, of course he was talking about the let's say viticulture approach. It was actually named the cultivation of vine. So he was talking in general about the approach you should have, and he was talking about different of course grapes variety that find in general in the central part of Italy. He was saying about Sangiovese or Sangiovese. He was saying it's a remarkable vine for its regular producibility. So first of all, we should say one thing. Back in the 16th centuries, probably they were having a very hard time in general with grape variety, and probably they were used to work with certain kind of varieties that are actually much more difficult compared to the Sangiovese. Sangiovese nowadays it's actually considered quite difficult variety, but maybe in that specific moment, that specific time, probably they were also, let's say, struggling with much more difficult variety. Of course, Sangiovese, it has a regular productivity, but it's still quite difficult. So nowadays, we don't think at Sangiovese as a variety that it's very easy to work with, and for sure, it's not a variety, in my opinion, that you can count on if you want to do like massive production, or you can do that, but in Sangiovese, especially if you want to, of course, obtain quality, you should take care of it, and quite a lot. So anyway, this is the first testimony of Sangiovese in some documents. So again, we are not able to find the exact moment in the history where they started to cultivate the Sangiovese, and we are, of course, not able to find the exact place, but we can say something about the first testimony, of course, as we said. Soderini, it was one of the first. It was talking about Sangiovese. However, it's also believed that, of course, in general, 2,000 years ago, the Etruscan, which was the population that lived in Toscana, there actually are roots. And we think that, of course, being one of the first population that was producing wine, actually they taught to Roman how to produce wine and how to do the winemaking process and so on. So we think that they were the first to use the Sangiovese, to start take care of Sangiovese. And also they were doing something that is very specific. They took many different wild varieties that we had in this area, and they basically create some kind of graft. They made a graft actually with other varieties that were coming from other part of the world, probably the Greek imported in Italy, in the Magna Graecia, in the south of Italy. So they were starting to make graft, and they were starting to create some kind of hybrid. So it's very difficult to sometimes also go back to the exact moment and exact place of origin of a certain grape variety. Anyway, just to make, of course, the perfect conclusion for this video, I would like to say a couple of things about Sangiovese in general, not about, of course, a specific vintage or a specific winery or a specific Chianti Classico or whatever. We want to say in general something about Sangiovese. Sangiovese, of course, it's a very tends to be a very fine and very elegant wine, especially when it comes from certain area. Again, for example, better than Chianti, but not only. It tends to be quite elegant. It tends to have this kind of minerality, especially when it's produced in the Galestro soil. So let me just show you a sample of the Galestro soil. We have here this sample of the Galestro soil. Galestro soil, it's this very rocky and very difficult kind of soil. And this is actually the reason why it has such a high altitude in this part of Tuscany and Chianti Classico to make, of course, cultivation of Sangiovese, and in general to make cultivation of vines, because it's very rude, very difficult, very rocky, very poor, very mineral, and you will never find so much residual water. So it means that the juice inside the grapes, it will never be too diluted. So you create the perfect quality for red wine. Anyway, Sangiovese has this beautiful mineral characteristic. When it's young, it has a nice fruit aroma, remind a lot to cherry, red berries in general also. And when it's a little bit more aged, it tends to be a little bit more like leather notes, tobacco, a little bit more aromatic, you know, probably if you ever bite your lips, a little bit the aromatic taste, the irony of the blood. Actually, Sangiovese, many people they say it's hearty notes, it's aromatic notes, it's irony notes. And so this kind of grape is probably one of the best representation of the central part of Italy, of the Chianti Classico, of the Montalcino area, of the Montepulciano as well area. So we have so much diversity. So it's just up to you now to try and discover it. So this is of course the end for this video. I was so happy to speak about Sangiovese today and the Sangiovese history. See you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.